There is a specific heavy kind of dread that settles in your chest the moment you see that holiday invitation hit your inbox. It's not just annoyance, it's a visceral physical rejection. If you've ever felt like you'd prefer a root canal without anesthesia over a festive dinner with your relatives, you aren't a terrible person. You're just reacting to biology. Here at Quiet Pressure Sketchbook, we talk a lot about why we feel the way we do, and the truth is, while you might love your relatives, your brain often categorizes family reunions as high-stakes survival scenarios. If Uncle Bob's political rants make you want to vanish into the floorboards, that's not a character flaw, it's a neurological response. Today we are taking apart the machinery of why going home feels so exhausting. I promise the science is a lot more validating than simply being labeled the difficult one. Let's start by debunking the myth that this is just an introvert problem. People love to say your social battery is just small. That's not the full picture. You can likely spend 12 hours with your best friend and feel completely fine. The real variable isn't the socializing, it's the lack of consent. Psychologists refer to this as obligatory interaction. You choose to hang out with friends. Your brain is in a state of safety. When you are mandated to sit at a table for 6 hours with people you have nothing in common with, your brain perceives it as a trap. It triggers a fight or flight response similar to being cornered. You aren't just tired, you are hyper vigilant. But the weirdest part, you can be a fully functional, successful adult, your daily life, but the moment you cross the threshold of your childhood home, you revert. Suddenly, you're arguing with your sibling over the remote control. This is what experts call family systems theory, of a family like a mobile hanging above a crib. If you pull one piece, the whole thing moves. Everyone in your unit was assigned a character years ago. The responsible one, the mess, the star, the quiet one. When you return, the system demands you play your part to keep the mobile balanced. You might be a CEO managing hundreds of employees, but to your mother you are still the 12-year-old who forgot to take out the trash. The reason you fall back into these patterns is that those neural pathways are paved like superhighways in your mind, built when you were developing, so sliding back into that dynamic is effortless for your brain. Even if your conscious mind hates it, you are literally fighting your own operating system's auto-save file. This brings us to the exhaustion factor, or what we call the performance. In psychology, this is known as masking, and it is a massive energy vampire. On this channel, Quiet Pressure Sketchbook, we often explore how hidden stressors weigh us down, and family masking is one of the heaviest. You aren't just eating potatoes, you are running a diplomatic mission. You are constantly filtering your speech, feigning interest in your cousin's boring job, suppressing your true reactions to avoid conflict. It is emotional heavy lifting. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain in charge of regulation, is running a marathon. If you are neurodivergent, perhaps dealing with ADHD or autism, this difficulty setting is cranked up to extreme. These people own the memory of who you were before you learned to mask, which adds a layer of anxiety that you might be found out, criticized for traits you've worked hard to manage. Then we have to address the scoreboard. Humans are wired to evaluate their standing in the pack, a concept Leon Festinger coined as social comparison theory. Family gatherings are essentially annual audits of your life. Questions that seem innocent, like seeing anyone special or how's the career, are processed by your brain as status checks. When you feel like you're falling behind your peers or siblings, it's not just an ego bruise. Neuroimaging shows that social rejection and status anxiety light up the exact same regions of the brain as physical agony. When you feel less than at the dinner table, your nervous system processes that distress the same way. It would process a burn on your hand. The pain is real even if there is no blood. Finally, let's look at the crumbling of boundaries. In your normal life, you have locks on your doors and set hours for work. You have autonomy. Families often view boundaries as insults. They mistake intrusive curiosity for intimacy. When your aunt pries into your finances or your lifestyle choices, she is violating your sense of agency. Psychologically, a lack of control is a primary trigger for stress. When you can't control the conversation or your environment, your body floods with cortisol because it feels unsafe. It's not just annoying to your primitive brain, it's a threat to your security. So how do you survive the season without losing your mind? Step 1 is validating your own reality. The fatigue and the anxiety are appropriate responses to the situation. You aren't crazy. Step 2 is changing the terms of engagement. You don't have to stay in the house. Get a hotel room. You don't have to stay for a week, stay for 2 days. Drive your own car so you aren't trapped. This isn't being cold, it's being strategic. It is protecting your peace. Ultimately, remember that shared DNA is a biological fact, not a binding contract for your mental health. You are allowed to redefine what family looks like for you. Maybe it's a quick coffee with the one relative you actually like, rather than the full circus. Whatever you choose, do it because it works for you, not because of guilt. You found this breakdown helpful. Welcome to the community here at Quiet Pressure Sketchbook. We've got plenty more deep dives into the way your mind works linked right here. Take care of yourself out there.